Oh my God, you're back. Hi. Welcome to the East region. This is the final region that we're going over. Let's kick it off right away. The #1 seed North Carolina Tar Heels taking on Florida Gulf Coast, who won their matchup against Fairleigh Dickinson to earn the right to get just murdered by North Carolina. I'm pretty biased here. They're in Raleigh. I mean, come on, let's be smart about this. UNC should roll. I'm picking Tar Heels.
Right.
Jeff?
This is not the year that 16 is going to be the one. This is going to be a laugher. The spread for this game is 22. Oh, this is going to be another 40-pointer.
That is a lot. That is a lot.
UNC.
Do you have anything to add to this? I know Florida Gulf Coast are kind of your boys.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot closer than 22. I think it'll still be a 12, 15-point game, but wow, I cannot believe the spread on that is 22. I'm taken aback, honestly.
Go West, everybody, because here's your king of wishful thinking. Anyway, we're on the 8-9 seed, the USC Trojans, taking on the Providence Friars. And personally, I like Providence a lot better than USC because I don't like anything about USC because they're a bunch of scumbags and fuck that school. But hatred about them aside, I actually think Providence is just the better basketball team. Jeff?
Better RPI, higher RPI. You know, they're ranked 38th in the RPIs, whereas USC's 48. They're allowing opponents to score less than 70 points a game, which is key. I just hate that whole West Coast passive-aggressive, laid-back type of way they play.
Surfer douchebags like Rob Johnson.
Providence all the way.
Matt Leinart.
Yeah.
Mark Sanchez. Need that go on?
No way. Providence all the way. This one, I feel. Karl, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I also had to move on. They beat Villanova during the regular season, so.
Oh, yeah.
That's a quality win.
That brings us to the 5-12 matchup.
Chris? Oh, okay, I'll save that for the next one.
Yeah, save it for the next one. It's fine. We'll be back on them.
Yeah.
We have the Indiana Hoosiers taking on Chattanooga
Mocs.
The Mocs! Go Mocs!
Can you tell me what the Mocs stand for?
Those are those shoes that Indians used to wear to hunt tigers.
No. You're thinking of like a moccasin of sorts.
Yeah, is that what that is? Just like
it's actually short for, and this is just recently public knowledge, the Chattanooga Mockingbirds.
What?
Yeah.
Are you mocking me, Carl?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, anyways, the problem here is that I think Indiana's very good. Again, I think the Big Ten was criminally underrated all throughout the seeding process here. I think Indiana kind of walks here. I always like going for an upset, but I don't think this is it. I don't think this is it. I have Indiana moving on. Jeffrey, what do the numbers say?
Indiana moving on. I mean, let's face it, averaging 82 points a game, and as we all know in the NCAA tournament, it's all about offense. All about offense. They really fill it. They went 15-3 in their conference, in a really, really tough conference. I like Indiana all the way in this one. As much as I do, like you, I enjoy picking the 5-12 upset, or the 12-5 upset, but it's not happening in this one. Indiana in a cakewalk.
And while I agree Indiana will win this game, I do think it'll be a game.
It's a 12-point spread.
It will definitely be a game.
It's a 12-point spread, so it's not real crazy big spread, but
I mean that's large for 12-5. It's 12.
The 4-seed Kentucky Wildcats taking on the 13-seed Stony Brook Somethings. Carl, why don't you tell me about this?
I believe it's the Seawolves.
That sounds cool. But like, what wolf was in the sea?
The American East. Okay. Kentucky in a steamroll here.
Yeah, not even nothing.
I mean, they're not the Kentucky teams of past, but
I think they've been playing better recently.
This will be a laugher. Murray's averaging 20 a game for them. He's just
more points than I ever had in my career.
He's a fabulous player. They no doubt Kentucky in this one.
Okay, that's pretty easy, guys. That brings us to the 6-11 matchup where the Notre Dame Fighting Irish will take on the winner of the Michigan-Tulsa matchup, which is happening right now on True TV, but probably not right now because you're not watching this the same night we tape this. this matchup's hard for me to not know who Notre Dame's playing because I kind of feel like if they play Tulsa, Notre Dame's going to move on. But I feel like if they play Michigan, I think Michigan has a real good shot at beating Notre Dame. So I don't quite know where to go here. Carl, where do you want to go?
Oh gosh, it's just another one of those games where, like you said, if Tulsa comes out on top, they're gonna get beat. If Michigan comes out on top, it's one of those games where.
Right now, you got Tulsa and Michigan in a tie game right now with 14:30 left in the second. It's 36-36.
And I feel like if you're playing down to Tulsa's level, 5th in the AAC, smoked by Memphis in the quarterfinal of that league by 20 plus points, and you get beat by them. I'm gonna pick Notre Dame, but I don't think either of these teams, no matter who comes out of it's going anywhere.
I'm going out on a limb, and I'm saying that Michigan wins this game tonight against Tulsa, and then they win that game against Notre Dame.
Okay.
I just don't like I don't like Notre Dame, even though they did beat Duke. You know, they had a great game against Duke in the ACC tournament. But I like Michigan in this one. I just think they play a very aggressive style of ball, which we all know is what you really need in the NCAA tournament to win is, you know, a real aggressive.
Now, that's right. So I'm going to piggyback on what Carl was saying. I really think that if Tulsa were to beat Michigan tonight, they're going to lose in Notre Dame. But again, if Michigan wins, I think Michigan's going to beat Notre Dame.
I think they just match up better against Notre Dame.
But what I do think is kind of like what I was going to say, Carl was saying, whoever wins that game, be it Notre Dame, Michigan, or Tulsa, any of the three, I don't think they're winning their next game regardless.
No.
Yeah.
So, since we're all in agreement on that,
Right, yes.
I guess it's safe to say that what we're going to do for our bracket is that if Tulsa wins tonight, we're going to go with Notre Dame. But if Michigan wins tonight, we're going to go with Michigan. And it's not going to matter because we're not going to have them advance any further. So quite frankly, this is a no contest. This is
it's one of those games where it's like you're not going to get a perfect bracket. It's statistically impossible. Just take this team.
Right.
And then don't worry about it because they're not going to go any further.
We're writing Notre Dame / Michigan on our charts. They're not going any further than that, we don't think. So that's where we're at. I guess this is unprecedented.
Well, I mean, we shouldn't really say that, right? Because we don't know the output of the next game. The next game has a real upset possibility where the Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks come in versus West Virginia, and they got the pressing defense. They press, but I mean, Stephen F. Austin's they've been in they've got a lot of tournament experience. I can see the upset here. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I want to know what you guys are thinking. I want to pick your brain. I want to pick your brains here.
Now, it is 3-16, so of course anything that Stone Cold Stephen F. Austin will be a great team to pick on this day.
Mm-hmm.
They're good. They wrecked their conference.
Mm-hmm.
They've won before in the tournament as a low seed.
27-5 record.
If they were to beat West Virginia, I think they would beat Notre Dame or Michigan. That's why I don't think it matters with what you're saying.
Okay.
I think Stephen F. Austin, whoever wins that game, I think is still going to the Sweet 16. So, while I really like Stephen F. Austin, I think upset potential is through the roof here too.
They got a bad draw here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. They can score, they can play defense, but West Virginia can do it, and they can kind of do it a little bit better.
West Virginia, they talk about being underseeded, them being a 3. I mean, they have RPI
potential.
They have an RPI rank of 10. Their BPI is a 7.
It's pretty good.
And they're ranked. They have a 3 seed in this tournament. They are all kinds of tough. They play really hard nosed. Again,
pressure defense.
Yes.
Is what you got. If you can break the press, you got to beat. But it's breaking the press, letting them set up after a made shot.
Yep. And as much as I really did want to take Stephen F. Austin this game, I can't, just because I think West Virginia is that good, and I would go with them in this game.
And I agree. And I think you're in for a great game. It's one of those games where you what other games are on. You know, it might be your favorite team or whatever. You might want to watch that. But
that's going to be
you
on the
want
main
to check
TV.
in.
That's going to be on the main TV.
Yeah, you want to check in on that and see just what kind of game you're looking at, because it's going to be a good one.
I think when it comes down to voting, I'm going to say West Virginia, so we're going to have them move on here, but we would not be surprised at all if Stephen F. Austin came through and just stunned West Virginia.
And it's one of the it's unfortunate because, like you said, whoever wins this game will probably go on and move the next game. So you're looking bracket-wise, you're losing a point here, a point there, a point here, and it starts to add up after a while. But it's just one of those games where it's one of those matchups where you get the top part and you get the bottom part, and both of them are toss-ups, and it's just, you know what I mean, where somebody's going to luck out and get all of them, and you might luck out or unluck out, I guess, and miss them all. Sure. But it's the roll of the dice.
It's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame that we're here. So that brings us to Wisconsin and Pittsburgh, the 7-10 matchup. Wisconsin coming out of the Big Ten, Pittsburgh coming out of the Big East, right? No? What do they do now? I don't even know. That's one of those things that you know. I don't know conferences.
ACC?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
But they're in the ACC, yeah.
I don't watch ACC.
When it comes down to it, I don't think Wisconsin is not the Wisconsin of old. The way they've been dominant the past couple of years, they've had a bunch of good players graduate.
Kaminsky,
exactly,
player of the year,
Decker, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Although Pitt's another one of those teams, they're kind of like Iowa, where it just seems like every year they just shit the bed when they get to the tournament.
See, I don't think they're going to shit the bed right away, though. I think this is Wisconsin's turn to have a bad year. I know
they got to do
a little
coach.
better. A lot of stuff's happening. And Pitt scores more than Wisconsin, although their defense is similar. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be one of the better games to watch. If you're not doing anything Friday at 6:50, you should be glued to the TV to watch this matchup. But for me, I'm going to take Pitt to beat Wisconsin in a semi-shocker, but I think the game itself is going to be just phenomenal. I think it'll be down to the wire. It'll be one of those buzzer beater shots that they're going to show at one shining moment. Karl.
I'm going to go the opposite with you. I don't think Pittsburgh is any good this year. I'm going to take Wisconsin, and I don't think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be Wisconsin will pretty much lead throughout. I'm looking at like an 8+ point lead all game.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the spread for the game is 1.5 for Wisconsin.
Okay.
Favored by 1.5.
Oh, that makes sense.
They're a higher seed, of course. Yeah, they're gonna have the game spread like that. But, for me, both of these teams, it's too close for me to call. I'm gonna go the coin.
All right, Scott.
Let's do it, buddy. And we're gonna go with Wisconsin. The favorite is heads.
Now, as this coin is weighted, we will see Pittsburgh advancing here.
Well, we'll see.
Would you like to do the flip?
We'll see what the coin says.
I'm over 2 on mine.
So heads Wisconsin, tails Pitt.
Tails.
There it is. The weighted coin prevails.
It's
Unbelievable.
not weighted. Do you have another coin that we can use?
That's like the sixth, because you did a flip too that you just did for the fun, and it was
Yeah.
tails.
It was
That's what the 6 straight tails that we've had, I think.
Yes, we're actually defying math right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That brings us to the 2-seed Xavier Musketeers taking on the 15-seed Weber State. What?
Wildcats.
The Wildcats.
Wildcat.
A lot of those
It's always a
things.
wildcat.
It's always a Wildcat.
If you don't know the mascot, it's generally a wildcat.
Wildcat or
You
can't go wrong.
or yeah.
I find this matchup extremely interesting. I feel like this is the best chance for a 15 seed to defeat a 2. But I don't actually think it's going to happen. Weber State snuck in, but their numbers are not that great, and Xavier has just been good the entire year. They've always been hanging around the top 5. They've won a lot of big games to beat Villanova. I think Xavier moves on. I don't see the upset. I just think they have a date with destiny. I think they're moving on. I know where you're gonna go, so why don't you tell me what you think first?
Whenever I think of Weber State, I think of when Harold Arsenault played, and he lit up. He had. I remember when they knocked up. I forgot who it was.
Kansas.
They knocked up. Yeah, it was when they knocked up Kansas.
314.
And he averaged, I believe, 42 a game in that tournament over the 2 games. He went over 40 points in both games. But Weber State does not have a player of that caliber this year, and I just really think that they're just going to get overwhelmed in this game. Xavier is a solid team, top to bottom, and that's what you need. They've been consistent, and really, in the NCAA tournament to win, you need consistency.
I agree completely. Yeah.
And I think Xavier has shown that they can be consistent like that this year. So I'm gonna go with Xavier. I just can't take Weber State.
Xavier, moving on. Carl, do you have any last second thoughts here?
No, just except for the Weber State. They knocked off Carolina back in '99. So I mean, they had the history. Granted, it's no longer the coach, no longer the players. I'm just saying, there's a tradition there where you could see like the heritage, the alumni getting up for this game, but it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. All right. That brings us to the second round matchups. We have North Carolina against Providence. I don't think Providence is going to beat North Carolina. I think they're very deep. I think Bryce Johnson's going to run all over them. I'm also incredibly biased, but I don't think this is the game that they lose. I'm going to take UNC here.
I got to tell you, if I'm UNC, I'm actually worried. Chris Dunn, Providence, he could have won NBA last year. He decided to come back, hone his skills. One of the best point guards in the nation. Ben Bentel up there. It's going to be a good game, and I could see North Carolina come out on top. I mean, very deep up there, but it's going to be one of those great games where sometimes you don't see in the round of 32. You get an upset here, you get an upset there, and all of a sudden you're getting blowouts here and there. But it's going to be a really good game.
So who are you picking?
I'll take North Carolina, Jeff, unless you can convince me wrong here. I don't want to put that's not my final answer. I don't want to be Regis on this.
I think North Carolina is just too tough inside. Their lack of perimeter game is going to catch up to them eventually in this tournament. But this isn't the game when it happens. I think they'll just be able to overwhelm Providence. I think they'll win it somewhat comfortably. I like them in this game. I like North Carolina.
Okay, North Carolina moving on. Which brings us to the 4-5 matchup of Indiana versus Kentucky.
And it's another one I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's another one of those committee games, where you get, Kentucky and Indiana. They won't face each other during the regular season. It's one of those games where you don't want superiority over the other.
Right.
And then the committee says basically, fuck you, you're doing this. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
Get that in post.
I agree. This is one of those storyline games that the NCAA loves to see. How do you feel?
And I honestly, it's one of those games where I honestly think all three of us should say coin flip.
Well, I'm not. I'm going to say Indiana. I like Kentucky. Kentucky's always good, but this isn't their best year, obviously, since they're not a 1 seed that's undefeated and everybody's picking them to win the national championship. Then again, maybe that's the best time to pick them.
I think they have a real chip on their shoulder.
I think they have a chip on their shoulder, but I also still think Indiana has a chip on their shoulder because I think that they're much better than a 5 seed, and they should probably be maybe even the 4 seed that Kentucky is, or perchance even a 3rd seed. They had a really good season. Maybe it didn't end well. Didn't.
Yeah, but even if they're a 4, they're still playing Kentucky 5.
Sure.
And then what is the difference? One line makes.
Well, they're going to assert their dominance and win. I'm still picking Indiana. You guys can coin flip all day, though.
I got Kentucky in this one.
Like I said, it's one of those games where no matter what happens between the three of us, it'll end up being a coin flip.
Well, then you flip.
So we're going with Kentucky because the coin is weighted, correct?
Kentucky would be Indiana. I don't want to look. We don't know what it is yet. But remember that the high seed is always heads.
Yeah, so Kentucky's going to be heads, Indiana's going to be tails.
Okay.
So why don't you go find that coin you threw on the floor and let us know who won?
So it is for the first time heads.
So we got Kentucky going on.
Kentucky moving on.
That's tails.
Well, he did flip toss.
All right. Kentucky moving on to take on UNC. That should be fun. We already said that the West Virginia, Notre Dame, Michigan, whatever battle it'll be, will go to West Virginia. So there's not much more to talk about
not
there.
much debate.
Yes. So that brings us to the final second round matchup. The Pitt Panthers, coming off of a mauling of the Wisconsin Badgers, take on Xavier, who squeaked by Weber State. Pittsburgh is fired up. They're hungry. They're going to want to win. They're going to probably bring the game up a few levels, only to lose to Xavier. I can't even bullshit it enough. Carl, spit your stats.
You know, I got nothing right now.
That sounds like bullshit to me.
I thought Wisconsin would win the Pittsburgh game. You know, if Pittsburgh comes out on top, I think Xavier steamrolls them. 15-point game.
I agree. Xavier in a. I think they're going to win handily against Pitt.
Okay,
Yeah.
bringing us to UNC Kentucky. Considering I thought Indiana was going to be Kentucky, again, I don't think it's Kentucky's year. It's just not the right feeling. I know they ended up winning the SEC championship. They got that together there. I don't think the SEC as a conference was that strong this year. I don't think any of the teams really stood out. North Carolina did stand out.
When you get Florida, Georgia, LSU, all missing the tournament, all having bad years.
Yeah, it's just not the same.
South
as
Carolina.
This isn't football, basically.
Yeah.
So, to me, UNC they won the conference title of the best conference in college basketball. They've won game after game. They went to Duke and beat Duke, which is huge to do, even if Duke is having an off year. I think they're not quite a team of destiny. I won't put that label on them, but I think they're definitely the best team in this game, and I think they're going to move on to the Elite Eight. I don't think they're ready for an early exit. I don't think they're ready to be upset yet. There's no George Mason right here, so we should be okay. I know that I'm biased, but I'm still going with UNC. I just think that's the way to go here.
I think that them being a poor perimeter team actually maybe does them a little bit of a favor because they don't attempt many outside shots and they're able to get more consistent scoring inside. And I think that is going to put them over the top in this one too. And I would take UNC in this one over Kentucky.
UNC will move on. Carl, did you have anything else to add?
No.
Okay.
It's one of those games you love to hate, where both the teams are just powerhouses, and if you're not a sturdy fan base of them, you hate this game, but you gotta watch it because there's so much talent there, so much quality. But UNC on top.
Yeah.
So, Carl, why don't you lead us in for the next matchup? The West Virginia Mountaineers taking on the Xavier Musketeers.
And if this game comes to fruition, Joe, it's going to be a good one because you're going to see West Virginia press in after every made basket. You're going to see Xavier falling in their 1-3-1 zone, and you're going to see Xavier come out on top.
Jeff?
I think you can't. This is like a two. This isn't a 2 versus a 3. This is a 2 against a 2. Really, in my eyes, this is a 2 against a 2 because West Virginia is that legit, and they're so tough and they're so aggressive the way they play. I have to say, I think that West Virginia knocks off Xavier in this round. And that's not, I can't even really back that up with stats because, like I said before, Xavier's been an outstanding team this year. But I think losing in the tournament, I think West Virginia is the better team right now. And I think that they'll be the better team then when they meet. And I think West Virginia is going to pull it out in a very, very close, hard-fought game.
Oh, boy. So that leaves it on me. And quite frankly, this is tough for me. I mean, there's nothing more I want in this world than an Elite Eight matchup between North Carolina and Xavier. Carl and I would be taped at the wrist like the Michael Jackson Beat It video before the knife fight, watching this game together, unless we decide to go to Philly to watch it. That said, knowing our history, shit like this tends to fail. We want it so bad that it tends to not work out because it would be too perfect. And I really fucking hate West Virginia. I do. I do. I don't like them. I think they're overrated in everything they do. Fuck Kevin Pittsnagel. Fuck them for beating UB when they shouldn't have last year.
His dumb droopy eyes.
Yeah, that guy's shooting meth, doing meth somewhere. I want to spike the shit out of Karl right now and pick West Virginia, but I don't like giving them that much credit. Xavier kind of has blown it near the end of the year here. They didn't win their conference championship to that Seton Hall team that kind of ran through the conference tournament. I also don't want to get stabbed in the neck right now. This is serious. I almost want to coin flip it, but I know that it'll be tails, and then it'll not be Xavier. So with all that said, this to me is a 50-50 game. I think just besides the game, I think either team can win it. I think it'd be a fantastic game. But all the outside forces are there too. Because I hate West Virginia, they'll probably win. Because I want Xavier to win, they probably won't. Because we want that to happen, it probably won't. Or it will and be the best thing ever. I don't want to leave this up to a coin toss, so I'm just going to be greedy and pick Xavier in my hope for the fucking best scenario.
Good.
I'm probably wrong. But fuck it, at least we wrote it down, right? So I'll just have Xavier moving on. It doesn't matter because they're not going to win anymore.
Well, the good news is I've been saving all my great stats for this. We're looking at a UNC Xavier, a dream matchup, and you wouldn't label UNC the team of destiny, but I would do that to Xavier. They run the 1-3-1, which
It's just a big plus sign.
you put Makura up there on top of the wing, and as Jeff has been saying all along since the 116 matchup, North Carolina can't shoot from deep. They can't do it. So when you put Jalen Reynolds, you put James Farr down on the block, you put Drevin Blewett in there, you put Edmund Sumner, a 6'6" point guard, freshman, a diaper dandy.
He wasn't kidding when he said he had his stats saved up for this.
I'm changing my last pick to West Virginia.
You get Xavier on top. They're so disrespected. They beat Michigan by 12. They beat Dayton by 30 or something. Took down Providence. Took down Seton Hall once. Lost to them twice. Beat Villanova when they were number 1. They got a lot of quality wins on the resume. They're not the Xavier past who have made 5 out of the last six Sweet 16s. They're running the 1-3-1, and if it was the first day of the weekend, I would say UNC had a whole week to prepare. But it's the second day that they're coming off of having a battle versus Kentucky. As much as we all swept UNC, they're coming off a battle with Kentucky. And they got 1 day to prepare for the 1-3-1, which they run 49% of the time. It's hard to defend against. It's not a normal 2-3, it's not a 3-2, it's not a man-to-man, which they run 51% of the time. It's one of those things that just, if you're not ready for it, it's gonna catch you off guard. And the Big East, where Xavier comes from, they had a little run in there at the end because the teams, they had 2-3 years now to prepare against it, and they're starting to get a little used to it. But when you get UNC, who hasn't seen it, you're gonna run into a little trouble there. And so I got Xavier moving on.
It's on you. I mean, I'm not picking against UNC, especially this dickhead over here. You just do what you want, knowing basketball.
This is the exact game and the exact situation where UNC's lack of perimeter scoring catches up to them. They don't even have really one great outside shooter that can break that zone. And that's what you need against the Xavier team to break them out of the 1-3-1. Karl said they ran the 1-3-1 49% of the time.
Yeah.
I think they're actually going to run it more than that this game. I think they're going to run it maybe 75% of the time this game. I have to say, and this is not a pick out of spite to anyone, but I just think Xavier matches up really well against UNC.
And then you win the tournament, it's all about matchups, and I think that, I mean, UNC is a great team historically. This year they're a great team, but it's just one of those where you get the matchup, and it just doesn't bode well for them. And I'm sure Joe thinks I'm doing it out of spite, but I really think if it comes down to it, And Xavier comes on the top.
I agree. I agree.
So there we have it, folks. UNC is beating West Virginia in the Elite Eight. Xavier moves out of the Final Four.
We will be
And we'll be right
back.
back with our final segment.
The Final Four.
Who will be your national champion, folks? We literally waited 4 hours for that moment.